The Crytheon warfleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel directly above Earth's moon. Commander Vex stood on the bridge of the flagship Eternal Dominion, watching his tactical display light up with primitive human vessels scrambling into defensive positions. He felt almost disappointed. 40 cycles of conquest across 12 star systems had taught him to expect fear, chaos, surrender. The humans were giving him none of that. Status on their fleet, Vex commanded. 17 vessels detected, his sensor officer replied. Composition appears to be simple metal alloys reinforced with basic energy shielding. No plasma weaponry detected. No graviton manipulation. Commander, they're using kinetic projectiles. Vex allowed himself a thin smile. Kinetics. How quaint. The Crytheon had abandoned such crude technology 300 cycles ago. Open a channel, he ordered. Let's give them the standard offer. The view screen flickered to life, showing a human female in a dark blue uniform. Her name tag read Captain Barnes. Her face was calm, almost bored. This is Captain Elena Barnes of the UHSF Retribution. You've entered Sol's system without authorization. Vex spread his forearms in what his xenology team assured him was a gesture of dominance. I am Commander Vex of the Crytheon Empire. Your species is hereby claimed. Surrender your vessels and planetary governance will be granted to acceptable representatives. Resist and face annihilation. Barnes tilted her head slightly. That's adorable. Did you practice that speech? Vex's crest flared purple with irritation. You face 143 warships, each capable of glassing a continent. Your 17 vessels are outmatched. 17? Barnes actually laughed. Oh, honey, those aren't warships. Those are tugboats. The sensor officer's voice cut through the bridge. Commander, multiple energy signatures emerging from Earth's surface, reading as underground launch facilities, massive power spikes across North America, Europe, Asia. Vex stepped closer to the tactical display. What he saw made his blood chill. Hundreds of signatures. No, thousands. Recalculate, he demanded. 4,612 vessels now detected and rising, the officer said, voice shaking. They're launching from underground silos, underwater facilities, hidden asteroid bases. Commander, their fleet was buried. Barnes appeared on the view screen again. You wanted to see our battleships? Fine. Meet the UHSF Goliath, Leviathan, Ragnarok, and their 3,000 friends. We've been ready for first contact for 60 years. We just weren't sure if you'd be friends or problems. Shields to maximum, Vex ordered. Prepare weapons. One more thing, Barnes said. Those kinetic projectiles you detected? They're moving at 0.97 light speed. Guess what happens when a tungsten rod hits your shields at relativistic velocity? The first human salvo streaked across the void like silver lightning. The Crytheon shield arrays lit up like dying stars as the tungsten rods hammered into them at near light speed. Vex gripped the command rail as the Eternal Dominion shuddered violently. 3 escort frigates on his port flank simply vanished, their shields overloaded in microseconds before the projectiles punched through their hulls like tissue paper. Evasive patterns, Vex shouted. Return fire with plasma batteries. The Crytheon fleet scattered, breaking formation as human vessels swarmed toward them. The plasma weapons discharged, brilliant green bolts that had melted the defenses of a dozen worlds. They streaked across space toward the human fleet, and missed every single shot. Impossible, Vex's tactical officer said. Their acceleration curves are beyond theoretical maximums. Those vessels are pulling maneuvers that should liquefy their crews. On the view screen, Barnes stood calmly as her ship rolled through a corkscrew pattern that would have turned any Crytheon into paste. Inertial dampeners, she said casually. We figured out how to cancel 98% of G-forces about 20 years ago. Your plasma moves fast, but our ships move faster. A human battleship, the UHSF Leviathan, roared past the Eternal Dominion's bow. Vex got his first close look at human engineering and felt his confidence crack further. The vessel bristled with weapon ports. Hundreds of them. Railguns, missile tubes, energy projectors he didn't recognize. But what caught his attention was the hull plating itself. It wasn't just metal. It rippled with some kind of reactive armor that seemed to shift and flow. "All ships, focus fire on that battleship," Vex ordered. 50 Crytheon vessels obeyed, concentrating their plasma weapons on the Leviathan. The barrage struck its shields, which flared bright blue and held. Then the human ship did something unprecedented. Its hull armor liquefied, flowing across the surface to reinforce the impact points. The plasma dissipated harmlessly. "Adaptive nanocomposite armor," Barnes explained, as if she were teaching a class. "It responds to threats in real time. Your plasma's hot, sure, but it's predictable." "Launch fighters," Vex commanded desperately. "Warm tactics." The Crytheon fighter bays opened, releasing clouds of small attack craft. 2,000 fighters poured into space, their pilots screaming war cries as they accelerated toward the human line. Then the human destroyers opened up with point defense systems. Vex watched in horror as streams of hypervelocity rounds created kill zones that his fighters couldn't penetrate. The weapons didn't just track targets, they predicted flight paths 3 moves ahead. His fighters tried to evade, but the humans had already calculated where they'd be. In 90 seconds, he'd lost 800 craft. "Sir, their point defense is computer-assisted," his tactical officer reported. "Artificial intelligence running combat algorithms. They're not aiming manually. That's illegal under Galactic Concordat regulations," Vex protested weakly. Barnes raised an eyebrow. "We're not part of your Concorda. We didn't even know it existed until you showed up. Also, illegal? You just tried to claim our planet." A human cruiser, the UHSF Ragnarok, surged forward and fired something Vex had never seen before. A concentrated beam of pure white light that didn't disperse across distance. It struck a Crytheon battlecruiser dead center and burned straight through both shields and armor in 4 seconds flat. "Particle beam weapons," Barnes said. "Focused proton streams accelerated to 0.999 light speed. We've got 12 ships equipped with them. Want to see what else we've been working on?" "Retreat," Vex ordered. "Full fleet withdrawal to Rally Point Gamma. Negative on retreat, Commander," his navigation officer said, voice tight with fear. "Human vessels have positioned themselves around our exit vectors. They're boxing us in." Vex looked at the tactical display. It was true. While he'd been focused on the frontal assault, human ships had encircled his entire fleet with surgical precision. They'd been herded like livestock. "This was planned," he whispered, "from the moment we arrived." "Every scenario," Barnes confirmed. "We ran 10,000 simulations of first contact. 62% predicted hostile intent. So we prepared for the worst and hoped for the best." "You gave us the worst." A new ship appeared on Vex's sensors, emerging from behind Earth's moon. It was massive, easily 4 times the size of his flagship. The readings made no sense. The power signature alone was equivalent to a small star. "Meet the UHSF Prometheus," Barnes said quietly. "Our first dreadnought. Took us 40 years to build her. She's got experimental weapons we haven't even field-tested yet. Want to be our guinea pigs?" The Prometheus powered up its main cannon. Energy readings spiked to catastrophic levels. Vex made the only decision he could. "We surrender." Barnes let the silence hang for 5 long seconds before responding. "Smart choice. Power down your weapons and shields. Any ship that doesn't comply in 30 seconds gets vaporized." Vex transmitted the order across his fleet. One by one, the Crytheon warships went dark, their threat displays fading to black. All except one, the battlecruiser Crimson Fang, commanded by Sub-Commander Ralph, continued charging its plasma arrays. "Ralph, stand down," Vex transmitted urgently. "Never," Ralph's voice crackled back. "I will not surrender to primitives. The Crytheon do not bow to lesser species." The Crimson Fang fired, launching a full spread of plasma torpedoes at the nearest human destroyer. The human ship's point defense came online instantly, shredding most of the torpedoes mid-flight. 2 got through, splashing against the destroyer's shields. They held. Barnes didn't even blink. "Target the Crimson Fang. Prometheus, you're authorized." The dreadnought's main cannon fired. Vex had seen planet-killer weapons before, orbital bombardment lasers that could crack continental shelves, fusion warheads that left impact craters visible from space. This was different. The beam that erupted from the Prometheus didn't glow or flash. It was a column of absolute darkness, like reality itself had been cut away. It crossed the distance to the Crimson Fang in less than a heartbeat. The battlecruiser simply ceased to exist. No explosion, no debris field. One moment it was there, the next there was nothing but empty space and a fading distortion wave. Antimatter lance, Barnes said flatly. Mutual annihilation at the quantum level. We don't use it often because it's messy and expensive. But it makes a point. Vex's remaining crew stared at their sensors in stunned silence. 900 Kratheon souls erased as if they'd never existed. The rest of you will be escorted to detention orbit around your moon, Barnes continued. Crews will be transferred to holding facilities. Your ships will be studied. If you cooperate, you'll be treated according to our laws regarding prisoners of war. If you resist, well, she gestured vaguely at where the Crimson Fang had been. Human boarding craft approached the Eternal Dominion. Vex watched them dock with his ship, heard the airlock cycles engage. Armed humans in powered armor entered his bridge, their weapons raised but not firing. They moved with practiced efficiency, securing positions and covering angles. A man stepped through last, wearing the same dark blue uniform as Barnes, but with additional insignia. His name tag read Admiral Grant. He was older, gray hair, with eyes that had seen too much. Commander Vex, Grant said. I'm taking command of this vessel. Your crew will be detained but unharmed if they cooperate. Vex straightened, trying to maintain some dignity. You have won this engagement, human, but the Kratheon Empire spans 40 systems. When word of this reaches the homeworld, they will send a fleet 10 times this size. Grant actually smiled. Let me tell you something about humans, Commander. We're really good at 2 things, building weapons and holding grudges. You attacked our home. Our families live down there. He pointed toward Earth, visible through the viewport. So here's what's going to happen. We're going to extract every piece of data from your ships, navigation charts, fleet compositions, military protocols, everything. Then we're going to build a fleet specifically designed to counter Kratheon technology. That'll take you years, Vex said. 18 months, Grant corrected. We've already got the shipyards running at full capacity. See, we've been preparing for a war with somebody for 6 decades. Didn't know who it would be, but we knew someone would eventually show up looking for a fight. You just volunteered your species to be the enemy. A younger human officer approached Grant and whispered something. The Admiral nodded and turned back to Vex. Interesting news, Commander. We just cracked your fleet's communication logs. Seems you've conquered 12 other species in the past 40 years. Where are they now? Vex said nothing. Enslaved? Exterminated? Absorbed into your empire as second-class citizens? Grant's voice hardened. We're going to find out. And if we don't like what we find, the Kratheon homeworld is going to have a very bad day. You cannot fight the entire empire, Vex protested. Watch us, Grant said. Humans have been fighting each other for 10,000 years. We've gotten very, very good at it. War is practically our species' hobby. The only reason we haven't wiped ourselves out is because we finally decided to point all that aggression outward instead of inward. We've been waiting for someone like you. Another officer approached. Admiral, we've finished scanning their database. You need to see this. Grant pulled up a holographic display to now. Vex watched as images appeared. Planets burning, cities in ruins. Species he recognized from conquered worlds, their populations decimated or enslaved. Grant's jaw tightened. 12 species, 40 years of conquest. How many dead, Commander? Billions, Vex admitted quietly. It is the way of empire. Not anymore, Grant said. Barnes opened a channel to Fleet Command. The view screen shifted to show a woman in a different uniform, sitting in what looked like an underground command center on Earth. Go ahead, Admiral. Initiate Liberation Protocol, Grant ordered. I want strike groups dispatched to every Kratheon-occupied system. We're freeing their slaves and dismantling their empire, one planet at a time. The woman on the view screen hesitated for exactly 2 seconds. Admiral, that's a declaration of total war against an interstellar empire. We're talking about coordinated military operations across 40 star systems simultaneously. I'm aware, General Hutchinson, Grant replied. Do we have the ships? Hutchinson's expression shifted from concern to something darker, more predatory. We've got 6,000 combat-ready vessels as of this morning. Another 2,000 in final construction phases. The shipyards on Mars, Europa, and Titan have been running triple shifts since the Cretheon fleet was detected entering the Oort cloud 3 days ago. Vex's crest flared in shock. 3 days? You knew we were coming 3 days before we arrived? Long-range gravitational sensors, Grant said without looking at him. We can detect faster-than-light wakes halfway across the sector. You've been on our scope since you left your last conquest. We've been tracking your fleet's trajectory, speed, and composition since Tuesday. Barnes appeared on a split screen next to Hutchinson. Admiral, the Prometheus's scanning suite just finished analyzing the Cretheon database. We've got complete navigation charts for their empire, including military installations, shipyard locations, and garrison strengths. But they kept everything on their flagship's main computer. Of course they did, Grant muttered. Commander Vex, did it occur to anyone in your command structure that keeping your entire empire's strategic data on a ship you were taking into combat might be a security risk? Vex felt his secondary heart sink. We have never lost a flagship. Not once in 300 cycles of expansion. You have now, Grant said. General Hutchinson, transmit the data to all fleet commanders. I want strike packages organized within 6 hours. Priority targets are slave-holding facilities and military command centers. Rules of engagement are weapons-free on Cretheon military assets, but civilian populations are off-limits unless they fire first. Understood? Hutchinson said. Sir, what about the Galactic Concordat? Once we start crossing into other systems, we're going to draw attention from other species. Grant paused. What exactly is this Concordat? Vex found himself answering before he could stop. The Alliance of Elder Species. 73 civilizations that enforce galactic law. They restrict certain weapons, maintain territorial boundaries, arbitrate disputes. They will not tolerate human expansion. They tolerated Cretheon expansion just fine, Barnes pointed out. 12 species conquered, and nobody stopped you. The conquered worlds were pre-spaceflight civilizations, Vex said. Concordat law does not protect species that have not achieved faster-than-light travel. It is considered natural selection. The humans exchanged looks. Grant's expression could have frozen plasma. So let me understand this, the Admiral said slowly. There's a galactic government that allows advanced species to enslave and exterminate younger civilizations as long as they haven't invented FTL drives yet. It maintains order, Vex said weakly. It maintains tyranny, Grant shot back. General, new priority. I want intelligence gathered on every Concordat member species. Military strength, technological capabilities, political structures, everything. If they're going to have a problem with us liberating enslaved populations, they can get in line behind the Cretheon. A new voice cut into the channel. Admiral Grant, this is Director Chen from the Strategic Intelligence Division. I've been listening to this conversation, and I need to raise a concern. Go ahead, Director. We're talking about starting a war with an interstellar empire and potentially drawing the attention of 73 other advanced species. Our total combat experience in space warfare is exactly one engagement that lasted 17 minutes. We're acting on incomplete intelligence about civilizations we don't understand. This is extremely dangerous. Noted, Grant said. Counter-argument. We have enemy vessels in our custody. Complete strategic intelligence on the Cretheon Empire. Technological superiority in multiple weapons categories, and a moral imperative to stop ongoing genocide. What's your recommendation, Director? Return to Earth and pretend we didn't just learn about billions of enslaved beings suffering under Cretheon occupation? Chen was quiet for a moment. No, sir. I'm recommending we move forward, but carefully. We need to gather more intelligence before we commit to full-scale liberation operations. Send reconnaissance missions first. Fast scouts. Minimal contact, maximum information gathering, acceptable compromise, Grant agreed. Barnes, organize recon teams. I want eyes on the 12 conquered worlds within 72 hours. Stealth configurations, passive sensors only unless absolutely necessary. On it, Barnes said. We've got the new Wraith-class scouts. Radar-absorbent hulls, minimal heat signatures, quantum communication arrays. The Crytheon won't even know we're there. Vex watched the humans coordinate their operations with terrifying efficiency. They'd gone from first contact to planning an interstellar military campaign in less than an hour. His species had taken cycles to organize operations of this scale. You are making a grave mistake, he said quietly. The Crytheon will mobilize their full military. You will face thousands of ships. Grant turned to face him directly. Commander, let me explain something about human military history. We fought 2 global wars that killed over 100 million of our own species. We've built weapons capable of rendering our entire planet uninhabitable. We've sent soldiers to die on foreign soil for abstract concepts like freedom and justice. Now you've given us an actual enemy, one that enslaves entire civilizations, and you think we're going to back down because you have lots of ships. He stepped closer to Vex. We don't want to conquer anybody. We don't want an empire. We just want to be left alone. But you didn't leave us alone. You came to our home, threatened our families, and revealed that the galaxy is full of species that think genocide is acceptable policy. So now we have a new mission. We're going to end your empire, free your slaves, and then we're going to have a very serious conversation with this Concordat about how things are going to work from now on. One species cannot dictate terms to the galaxy, Vex said. Grant smiled without warmth. Watch us. The first reconnaissance missions launched 6 hours later. 12 Wraith-class scouts departed from Earth's orbital shipyards, each assigned to a different Crytheon-occupied world. Captain Jake Morrison commanded the scout-designated Wraith-7, bound for a planet the Crytheon called Sector 9, but whose native inhabitants knew as Vareth. Morrison sat in the compact bridge of his vessel, watching the starfield stretch and distort as they entered faster than light travel. His crew consisted of only 4 others: Lieutenant Amy Cross on sensors, Specialist Eric Yuen handling communications, Pilot First Class Nina Okonkwo at the helm, and Chief Engineer Paul Briggs keeping their experimental stealth systems running. Transit time to Vareth is 41 hours, Okonkwo reported. All systems nominal. Morrison pulled up the intelligence brief on his console. Virath was a temperate world. Population originally estimated at 2 billion before Crytheon conquest 32 years ago. Current population unknown. Primary resources extracted included rare earth minerals and something called lithium-7, which apparently made excellent starship fuel. What do we know about the native species? Cross asked. Called themselves the Vel, Morrison read. Bipedal oxygen breathers, roughly human-sized. They'd achieved early spaceflight, had satellites and space stations, but no FTL capability. The Crytheon hit them hard and fast. Orbital bombardment of major cities, then ground occupation. How many Crytheon garrison troops? Yuan asked. Intelligence estimates 3,000 ground forces, supported by an orbital defense station and 6 patrol craft. The Crytheon don't need large occupation forces. They use fear and overwhelming firepower to keep populations compliant. Briggs snorted from his engineering station. 3,000 troops for 2 billion people? That's some efficiency. Or brutality, Cross said quietly. You don't need many soldiers if you're willing to destroy entire cities as punishment for resistance. The Wraith-7 crossed the distance in just under 2 days. As they approached the Varath system, Morrison ordered the ship into full stealth configuration. Their hull plating shifted to absorb radar. Heat exchangers went into passive mode, and even their reactor output dropped to minimal levels. Entering outer system now, Okonkwo reported. Passive sensors only. The tactical display populated slowly as they glided through the system. Cross studied the readings with growing concentration. I've got the orbital defense station, she said. Old Crytheon design, probably left over from the initial invasion. 6 patrol craft in geosynchronous orbit, standard configuration. Wait, I'm picking up something else. Elaborate, Morrison ordered. Metallic debris field in low orbit? Lots of it. Spectral analysis suggests it's wreckage from Vel space stations and satellites. The Krytheon never cleaned it up. They just left it there. Morrison felt anger tighten in his chest. Destroying infrastructure was one thing. Leaving the wreckage in orbit as a constant reminder of conquest was deliberate psychological warfare. Take us closer, he ordered. I want surface scans. The Wraith 7 descended into high orbit, using the debris field as cover. Cross-activated high-resolution imaging arrays. What they showed made Morrison's blood run cold. Verath's surface was scarred. Massive craters marked where cities had once stood. Vast strip mining operations cut into continents like open wounds. But what caught his attention were the structures. Hundreds of massive compounds spread across the planet's surface, each surrounded by high walls and guard towers. Labor camps, Cross whispered. They're using the Vel as slave labor in the mines. Ewan enhanced the imaging on one compound. They could see figures moving in organized lines. Small, humanoid shapes marching from barracks to mining facilities under armed guard. Getting thermal readings from the camps, Cross continued. Population density is extreme. They're packed in like sardines. Environmental conditions are poor. Minimal heating, inadequate shelter. Sir, those compounds weren't built for long-term habitation. They're not meant to be, Morrison said grimly. The Krytheon work them until they die, then bring in new workers. It's more efficient than maintaining proper facilities. Okonkwo's voice was tight with fury. There are children in those camps. I can see smaller heat signatures mixed with the adults. Morrison made his decision. Yuan, launch a communication probe. Stealth configuration, passive monitoring only. I want it positioned to intercept any transmissions from the surface. If there's a Vel resistance movement, they might be trying to communicate. Probe away, Yuan confirmed. They waited. Morrison watched the chronometer tick forward. 15 minutes. 30. 45. Got something, Yuan said suddenly. Encrypted transmission from somewhere in the northern hemisphere. It's crude. Looks like they're using old satellite comm equipment, but it's definitely there. Multiple sources, all using the same encryption protocol. Can you break it? Already working on it. The encryption is basic, probably cobbled together from pre-invasion technology. Give me 10 minutes. Morrison used the time to compile visual data. The imaging arrays captured everything. The scale of the mining operations. The number of camps. The military installations. When the data package was complete, he transmitted it back to Earth via quantum relay. Admiral Grant would have real-time intelligence in seconds, despite the 40 light-year distance. Encryption cracked, Yuan announced. Sir, you need to hear this. He routed the audio through the bridge speakers. A voice came through, speaking in a language the ship's computer instantly translated. This is Resistance Cell 14 to any listening cells. The Krytheon just increased quotas again. They're demanding double production from the eastern mines. They're not providing additional rations. People are dying. We lost 43 workers yesterday alone. We need help. Someone please respond if you're out there. Another voice, different cell. Cell 9 confirming. Same situation here. They're working people to death. We tried to organize a work stoppage last week. The Krytheon executed 200 as punishment. Broadcast their deaths on every screen in the camps. A third voice, older, exhausted. This is Elder Council Representative Keth. I'm transmitting from hiding. The Krytheon have eliminated most of our leadership. They hunt anyone who shows organizational ability. We're running out of time. Our population has dropped from 2 billion to 800 million in 32 years. At this rate, the Vel will be extinct in another generation. If anyone can hear this, if there are any other species out there, please, we're dying. The bridge fell silent. Morrison looked at his crew. Cross had tears running down her face. Yuan's hands were clenched into fists. Okonkwo stared at the planet below with barely contained rage. Briggs had gone pale. Yuan, Morrison said quietly. Open a transmission. Tight beam, encrypted, directed at those resistance cells. Sir, that will break stealth protocol. The Krytheon might detect us. I don't care. Do it. Yuan hesitated only a second before complying. Channel open. Morrison took a breath and spoke. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the United Human Space Force, calling from the vessel Wraith 7. Representative Keith, Resistance Cell 14, Cell 9, all Vel fighters. We hear you. Help is coming. Hold on just a little longer. Humanity is coming. The response came within seconds. Static-filled, desperate, disbelieving. Human, we don't know that species. Are you real? Is this some Crytheon trick? Morrison kept his voice steady. We're real. The Crytheon attacked Earth 4 days ago. They lost. We captured their fleet and found records of what they've done to your people and 11 other species. We're done watching. Liberation forces are being organized right now. Can you provide tactical intelligence on Crytheon positions? A different voice cut in, sharp and urgent. If you're truly here to help, you need to move fast. The Crytheon are planning something. We intercepted garrison communications. They're consolidating forces at Camp 17. That's our largest facility. Over 200,000 Vel held there. We think they're preparing for mass execution. Some kind of efficiency directive from their homeworld. Cross-checked her scans. Confirmed. I'm reading elevated activity at a large compound in the southern continent. Troop movements, power spikes consistent with weapons charging. Morrison's tactical mind raced. His orders were reconnaissance only. But reconnaissance didn't matter if everyone they were supposed to save was dead before the Liberation fleet arrived. How long do we have? He asked. Best estimate, 72 hours. The Vel resistance member replied. Maybe less. Morrison looked at his crew. He saw the same calculation in their eyes. The same decision already made. Yuan, get me Admiral Grant. Emergency priority. The quantum channel connected instantly. Grant's face appeared, his expression already knowing. Captain Morrison. I'm guessing this isn't a routine check-in. Morrison transmitted everything. The camps, the resistance transmissions, the intelligence about Camp 17. He spoke quickly and finished with the only conclusion that mattered. Sir, we can't wait for the main fleet. If we don't act now, 200,000 Vel die in 3 days. Grant was quiet for exactly 5 seconds. Then he smiled, and it was the most dangerous expression Morrison had ever seen. Captain, I'm promoting you to Commodore as of right now. You have full tactical authority. The cavalry is already on the way. ETATR position is 16 hours. Until then, you have authorization to do whatever is necessary to keep those people alive. Rules of engagement are weapons-free. Show the Crytheon what happens when they threaten prisoners while humans are watching. Understood, sir. Wraith 7 out. Morrison turned to his crew. Okonkwo, plot an intercept course for that orbital defense station. Cross, I want targeting solutions on all 6 patrol craft. Briggs, divert all power from stealth systems to weapons and shields. Yuan, transmit a message to the Vel resistance. Tell them to get their people away from Crytheon military installations. It's about to get loud. The Wraith 7 dropped its stealth configuration and lit up every active sensor array. Alarms blared on the Crytheon defense station as a human warship appeared seemingly from nowhere. Morrison opened a broadcast on all Crytheon military frequencies. Attention, Crytheon forces. This is Commodore Morrison of the United Human Space Force. You are hereby ordered to stand down, release all Vel prisoners and surrender. You have 60 seconds to comply. The response was a plasma barrage from the defense station. I was hoping they'd say that, Morrison said. Cross, fire. The Wraith 7's weapon systems unleashed hell. Railgun rounds traveled at relativistic speeds, punching through the defense station's shields before they could fully form. The station broke apart in 3 catastrophic explosions. The patrol craft scattered, trying to run. Target the runners, Morrison ordered. Don't let any escape to call for reinforcement. His ship moved like a predator, faster and more maneuverable than anything the Crytheon had encountered. 2 patrol craft died to missile strikes. A third took a particle beam through its reactor core. The remaining 3 tried to coordinate their fire, but the Wraith 7 was already gone, repositioning before their weapons could track. 4 minutes after the engagement started, the last Crytheon vessel exploded in a brief flash of light. Orbital space secured, Cross reported. No remaining hostile contacts. Yuan's console lit up. Commodore, I'm receiving transmissions from the surface. The Vel are celebrating. They're saying it's the first time in 32 years they've seen Chrytheon ships destroyed. Morrison allowed himself a brief smile. Then, he got back to work. Open a channel to the Resistance. Tell them we need targeting data on every Chrytheon ground installation. When our fleet arrives, we're ending this occupation completely. 16 hours later, the Human Liberation Fleet dropped out of FTL in perfect formation. 40 warships, led by Captain Barnes aboard the Retribution. The ground assault was surgical and devastating. Chrytheon garrisons surrendered or died. The camps were liberated. Morrison stood on the surface of Verath, 3 days later, watching Vel families reunite. Elder Council Representative Keth approached him, tears streaming down her face. You came, she said simply. You actually came. We're humans, Morrison replied. When we say we're coming to help, we mean it. Across the galaxy, 11 other Liberation fleets were dropping into Chrytheon-occupied systems. The empire that had conquered for 40 years found itself facing an enemy that fought not for territory or resources, but for something far more dangerous. Humanity fought for principle, and they were just getting started. The Chrytheon Empire would learn what the Vel already knew. When humanity says they're coming, they mean it. And when they